In this section, we'll talk about the materials for the brush and pen work. So as you have seen, the primary brush I use is a very small brush, and really any brush that's small will do for this. I use it mostly for lifting and for detail work, and when the ink is on the paper for pushing it around. I have some slightly larger brushes, and I'll show you what will happen when we use those, and you can use them for directly painting much larger areas because they'll hold more ink. I also have some alcohol ink markers, and I'll show you how those work in a second. This is a Spectrum Noir, and there's many other brands of them, and I would experiment and see what brands you can get in your area and what you like. And then these are the three pens that I use most frequently. This is a black Micron pen, makes a very fine line. This is the Uniball Signo white pen. And this is a sepia pen. I don't use it quite as frequently, but the sepia tends to blend in a lot better with the inks. You can, if you're looking to define an edge without anyone actually seeing that you've used pen, this is a great tool. This is a kind of a scrap piece of paper with a little bit of ink, and I'll use that to show you some of the differences between these tools. So the first tool we have is the brush. And we can either drop the ink from the bottle and guide the ink with the brush. So let's see if we can fill in this area here. I might not have put enough ink on here to fill in this entire little design here. There we go. So this is a little bit messier. We have our edges are a little bit less controlled, having the ink come straight from the bottle. But we have a vibrant and smooth passage there. Next, we'll dispense the same ink into the weld palette, and I'll use the small brush to fill in this next area here. So I'm just going to paint it in. I can come up fairly close to these edges here because I don't have a lot of ink on this brush. That gives a nice controlled painting. It's not quite as dark and vibrant as this one, but it certainly stayed where it belonged. We'll try the same thing again with a larger brush. This is a little flat brush. Putting some more ink in here. This brush will have the advantage of holding more ink, so we can replicate some more of that vibrancy. And in order to maintain control, I'm starting in the middle, and I'm going to push out from the edge to the edge. And I'll lay up a little bit from the edge. Try to get that thing out. By working out from the center, I can create a fairly smooth passage of ink. We can also put ink over other ink, so we'll see what results are with that. Go color in maybe this line here. Okay, so there's a fair amount of ink on this brush, and it's starting to get away a little bit. There we go. So it looks like we've got some leaves going on there. As the ink dries, it gets a lot thicker. We can pick off this dry ink in here and make some very fine lines. So this is kind of our dry brush technique. It gets drier and drier. And that ink should be able to sit on top of another ink without dissolving it. Well, that was a little bit too much. But try again. There we go. Just kind of filling in a little bit of green on here. Okay. Next we'll try the marker. The marker has two ends. There's a fine tipped end and a chisel end. We'll start with the fine end. If we wanted to make a fine line, this is a nice controlled way of adding a line. Unlike the brush, it has very little chance to get away from us. We've outlined that. I'm going to color in this space here. So if you are very cautious and want to make sure that you have a controlled ink application, the marker is a great idea. Now the negative side is that sometimes as you work, you can see that there are brush lines of the brush. So this was not too bad. I'm working kind of, let's say, wet and wet if that's possible for the marker. Depends on how juicy your marker is. One way of combating that is to add a little alcohol. You can put the ink on with the marker, and then, oh, that was green. Okay. Still green. And soften it back. If you used clear alcohol, it would turn green. I'll leave some of the marker lines on here. If you have any writing to do with markers, a good choice too. Pens I have, the white pen. This pen I like because it goes over the ink pretty well. So I'll just do a little drawing on it. There we go. It doesn't really show up on the white paper, so I'll skip that. I'll often use it for a highlight of an eye, dot, or if I need to subtly lighten an area, use some dotting techniques. Here's the black pen, and again we can write. We can outline. Let's say if we wanted to clean up the edge a little bit. I noticed about pen, I can of this black ink, it's also going to be a little bit green, and soften it with alcohol and kind of blend it out. So you can take some of those very hard edges and soften them. And the sepia pen really works in the same manner. Use it to outline a little bit of this edge. So that, as you can see, it really matches pretty well with the actual other